Hello, my name is Ian Klōsowiak, and today we are installing a KLŌS carbon fiber F-Series neck on a bass body. Starting out, the tools you will need are the parts that come with the neck, which are a 9/64 drill bit, a tapping drill bit, as well as 4 screws, which are 8 32nds size threads. And I think that's about everything that comes with the neck. So this neck specifically is a jazz style 4-string with 20 frets. The neck is fully plekked and already set up with the right relief with the truss rod, and it has the string slots in the nut already cut to the right height. The other tools you will need are some rags, some tape, a tape measure or a ruler. I like to use some thin scrap pieces of wood, a clamp, and you can use some rulers about this size. I'm specifically using just these carbon rods. So that's what you'll need, as well as a drill. And yeah, let's jump into it. So starting out, the first thing you want to check is the scale length. That's obviously very important, because if you have the wrong neck or the wrong body with the wrong neck pocket cut out, that could be a big problem. So first thing you want to do is grab a ruler, measure out the scale length from the nut, and confirm that the saddles are approximately at 34 inches. Most bass necks are 34-inch scale length, so this one is confirmed. Different necks have different scale lengths and different numbers of frets, so it's very important that you check that. You can't, for example, put on a 21 fret neck on a body that was designed for specifically a 20 fret neck. Same with 22 frets, so it's very important you check that first. Now that we're confirmed that this is the right neck and the fit in the neck pocket is good, we want to start preparing it for install. So the first thing that I want to do is check the fit of the neck in the pocket. There's a small wobble, which is actually pretty common, and that allows you to make sure that it fits without damaging the body or needing any type of additional routing or sanding or anything like that. I'm going to take a few pieces of tape to center the heel of the neck in the pocket. I'm going to start out with 3 on each side. So I'm going to put some on this side and then on this side. There's still a tiny wobble left, so I'm going to put 2 more pieces. Some necks will not require this step at all, so just see the tolerances that you have with your neck and your body. Okay, that's in a great spot right there. And so the next step is to clamp on the neck and get the positioning more finalized. So what I'm using specifically here is just a rag that's kind of bundled up. You can use anything really. And then I just put a roll of tape underneath, but you can also use a rag just to get a little bit of room under here so that you can install the clamp right there. For this clamp specifically, I just put a piece of scrap wood just so I'm not going to damage the body, and I have this extra piece of scrap wood that I will put on top of the neck. So I'm going to put the neck in right there. I'm going to see where I'm at with the neck fit. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take this piece of wood and stick the clamp underneath right there. Okay. So I'm just going to lightly tighten it. I'm going to make sure my heel is firmly in the back of the neck pocket, and I just lightly tighten everything. The next step is to check the string alignment. And so what I'm going to do now is take these straight edges and I'm going to go like this and see where the neck is relative to the bridge. So because the bass string is thicker than the treble string, we always want the bridge to be moved over this way a tiny bit, because the string spacing that you want as a target is equal on both left and right side, but because of the thickness of the string, you have to compensate by having the bridge moved over that way. Because the bridge is obviously already mounted, what we need to do is make a very micro adjustment in the neck angle, like this, to compensate for that correct bridge placement. So with this specifically, I'm gonna tighten this a bit more. I'm gonna check again, and you might have to go over the position maybe 2 or 3 times until you feel that it's in the right spot. If you're having trouble eyeballing the position of the neck angle, then what you can do is use a piece of tape and mark it down with a pencil. So I'm gonna take a piece of tape right here. And I'm gonna mark the position of each side, and that will help me confirm the position. And my goal now is to angle the neck a little bit more this way to compensate for the thickness of the string. The thickness of the string, if you subtract the radius of the small string and the thick string, it's usually about 1 millimeter. So I want that line to be 1 millimeter moved over. And so I'm gonna angle it this way. Okay, that is perfect now. And what you can do to check your work is go like this and draw the new line and confirm that it's about 1 millimeter shifted in that direction. Now I'm gonna tighten this even more. I'm gonna double check that nothing moved. And we're off to the next step, pre-drilling the 4 holes. So now I'm gonna put the 9/64 drill bit into my drill. I'm gonna hold the body up straight, and I'm gonna drill just enough to get a centering point in the carbon. There's another thing that can help, and that is if your holes are a lot wider than the drill bit, then what you can do to center the drill bit even more is take a piece of tape and wrap it around the drill. And that will help center the drill in the hole. That is not always necessary, but if the hole is substantially bigger, then it would definitely help to center the drill bit better. Now that we've finished drilling the center mark for the hole, we can take the clamp off and we'll complete the drilling part without the body in the way. So you can see here now, we've got 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the center mark is marked. And now what I'm gonna do is drill all the way. and you will see the aluminum shavings. So a couple pointers with drilling. This drill is actually a weaker one, so if you have a faster one, that can make things a bit faster. But I would say you don't want to go too fast because you have to be careful with not letting it drift or not drilling too far or anything like that. With the depth, you do want to go until you go through all the foam. So the way the neck is designed is there's foam inside, so it's carbon and then aluminum and then foam, and then the other part of the other side of the carbon. So once you basically punch through the foam, you know that you don't have to go any further. Another thing you need to remember is to make sure that your drill is very vertical. So in general, you want to look from the top, look from the side, and make sure that you're going pretty straight, pretty vertical. The next thing we want to do is swap out this drill bit for this tap. And this is when it's actually useful to have a slow drill. You want to go pretty slowly, and you definitely want to be careful with the feel of how much torque there is on what you're drilling. And so I'm gonna start out by checking my alignment, make sure I'm very vertical. I'm gonna do a couple turns and then I'm gonna back off. So I'm gonna go in reverse. As soon as I start feeling that it's just a little bit tighter and there's a little bit of resistance, that's when I wanna stop, go in reverse, just a couple turns, not all the way, just a couple turns. And then go forward. If you've got a torque setting on your drill, that's very helpful. You can adjust your torque setting so that instead of going too hard, it'll just skip on you. I can demonstrate by changing the torque setting to 1. It's skipping right there. The torque setting is extremely low, but I want the torque setting about there. Okay, and we've got the first hole done. Another thing that is actually pretty helpful to do is to compare the side of the tap to the side of the neck so that you know that you're not going too far. If you go too far and you've got your torque setting on correctly, then obviously it'll stop the drill and it'll just skip on the torque setting, but it would be safe to put the drill bit next to the carbon and have a piece of tape that will identify where the edge is. So, and you don't have to go all the way. You just want to go through the first 3 layers of the threads, and this is just as an indicator of going too far. You definitely don't want to go too far, especially if you have no torque setting on your drill or if you're powering through it too fast. We can also check with the screws while we're working. That's going in very smoothly. And I'm going to finish off with the other holes. Okay, so now the holes are tapped and I'm checking the thread with the screws and they're going in very easily, very nicely. Now that the screws are in place and you verified, you want to actually double check with a screwdriver, make sure that it goes smoothly all the way in till you can see that it bottoms out. You do that with every screw. If something's a little tight or you feel the need to run it through with the tap, you can do that. Just be very careful so that you don't cross thread the tap. Another thing you want to look out for is the depth of the body. Different bodies have different depths, and so there is a small chance that these screws are not compatible with the body. Simply check if the screw is going to be the right size for this body depth. This one is spot on. I'm going to remove this tape. And now, while I put the neck in the body, I want to be very careful with the edges of the neck pocket because the paint is very susceptible to chipping in those areas. I then grab the neck plate and put it in the right position and gently and carefully start screwing in the threads by hand. Once that I feel the threads are in, a couple millimeters deep, you can finish off with a screwdriver. So I like to finish off by checking every screw again, tightening it, making sure that they're evenly tight. And it's also, this one went in very smoothly. Sometimes the wooden holes in the bodies themselves are very tight. So if you need to, you can always grab a drill bit and make those holes in the wood body wider so that it makes the tolerances a little bit easier for you to put the screws in. And there you have it. We completed putting the neck on the body and we're ready for the next steps. The next steps are to string them and adjust the saddle heights. Please remember that the neck is already fully set up, meaning the truss rod is already adjusted and the string heights at the nut are already cut to the right depth. Quick note about checking and adjusting saddles. So there's two really important parts of adjusting saddles, and that is the forward and back position for intonation and the height for the right action. So for intonation, the way you do that is you pluck the open string and you check that it's in tune. You play the note at the 12th fret and you check if it's in tune. If it's out of tune, for example, if it's sharp at the 12th fret, you know that you have to move the saddle backwards. If it's flat at the 12th fret, then you know that you have to move the saddle forwards. And you do that by adjusting these screws in the back. Once you get that dialed in, you do that with every string, and then you check for string heights. You can start out with lower action, meaning the saddle is lower than you really need it, and you slowly just take the wrench and slowly tighten the saddles, or tighten these saddle screws until the saddle starts coming higher and you feel that it has that optimal balance of not buzzing too much but being low enough. Once you do that with all the strings, you can check it with a gauge and confirm that it's exactly where you want it. Thanks for choosing KLŌS Guitars. My name is Ian Klōsowiak, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say about your new bass neck.